Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
This happened yesterday to my partner. Karen walks into the shop where my partner works, hands over a sample of a product, and asks, "If you sell this, I'd like to buy some more." My partner says, "No problem. Feel free to look through the sample books while I check if we stock it." Karen responds, "Don't you know your products?" Karen's husband blushes and looks away as my partner gives Karen a forced smile. The sample books contain about 100 samples each, with 5 collections per supplier and about 10 suppliers in total, making it around 5,000 individual products. There are no codes on the sample, so searching is done purely by sight. After a few minutes, my partner finds the right product and shows it to Karen, who quickly responds, "This is not the same. Can't you see that? We are building a new home and it has to be perfect." While smiling at Karen's husband, my partner asks if the sample had been previously installed on a large space, to which they said yes. My partner explains that the product in the sample book is a standard size, but it can be resized to fit larger spaces without losing too much clarity. My partner collects Karen's dimensions and says, "That'll be $149. Thank you." "What? That's outrageous. You want your home to be just perfect, don't you?" Karen begrudgingly replies, "Yes," as her husband smiles. "We need to customize the product to suit your space, so there is a redesign fee." This is a jerk tax right there. While other companies charge a fee to customize, my partner's company doesn't, as it is a simple process of sending the custom dimensions to the manufacturer. What would have been a free service to measure to suit now just cost $149. Just don't be a jerk to someone you need help from. If you're overdosing on childhood bully stories, rest assured this is not one of them. It is, however, a roommate from hell story, and I hope you think it's a good one. In 2017, I took a new job on the other side of my fairly large city. Rather than commute from where I was living, spending at least 90 minutes driving each way, I decided to move closer to my new job. I could have gotten a 1-bedroom apartment on my own, but my budget, at the time, would only barely manage it. I'm a single guy in my 20s and like to go out and order in. Sure, I could have had my own place, but I would have been eating ramen and staying in most of the time. So I leased a 2-bedroom in March 2017 and started advertising for a roommate. A great guy named Dave got in touch, we seemed to click, and he moved in. I have a pickup truck, so I helped him get furniture and he helped me move my stuff to the new place. We got along great. We were alike enough to have common interests, but different enough to have great discussions. Things were fine. We would split the cost of stuff, like toilet paper and dish soap. Neither of us were total slops, but we weren't fussy enough to complain about a dirty glass left in the sink overnight. In the meantime, my job was going great. Within 6 months, I got a promotion and a very hefty raise. Dave told me he was leaving as of November 1st, 2017. I probably should have just covered the apartment myself until the end of the lease on February 28, 2018. But I made a mistake. Let's call the mistake Bro, since that's what he called everyone else. Bro was Dave's marijuana connection. Had been to the apartment a few times and needed a place to stay. He seemed like he had his life together, was charismatic and well-groomed. So Dave moved out, and Bro moved in at the beginning of November. Trouble started pretty soon afterward. He was so vain, always with neatly trimmed blonde hair, nice clothes and $500 sneakers. And that's where all his money went. He didn't buy food or anything else. I would buy a loaf of bread, and the next day there was a quarter of a loaf left. I would go to the bathroom, and there was no toilet paper. I used to leave a big jar of peanut butter in the cupboard, and it evaporated. I would give him a hard time and tell him to buy his own stuff. "Yeah, bro, no problem." But nothing changed. He didn't even have a cell phone. Well, he did, but he never used it. He couldn't get a plan because of an unpaid account, so he had a pay-as-you-go plan and relied on WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger to keep in contact with people. like his marijuana customers. How much do you think he contributed to the internet bill? Rent was usually late and never in one chunk, and he was a complete slob, never did dishes or wiped anything down. I didn't think he even knew how to spell mob. I was getting more and more angry, and finally we had a big argument just before Christmas 2017. I basically told him flat out that if he didn't stop using my stuff and start pulling his own weight, then, and I quote, stuff is gonna happen, and you won't like it. The final straw, I made a bunch of cookies and stuff to take with me to visit my family for Christmas. I told him specifically not to touch the stuff in the fridge, and he devoured about a third of it. Forget you, bro. Now I am really angry, and I'm coming for you. Bro was excited to be going to Costa Rica for a week in February. One of his friend's parents had a condo there, and Bro and 3 friends were planning a trip to stay there for a week. Since their accommodations were free, they could party it up, and I overheard their plans for alcohol, cheap cocaine, and legal escorts. I spent a lot of time in my room when Bro and his friends were over playing video games. I have a good headset, so they must have assumed I was playing away rather than listening through the paper-thin walls. One of the things they were planning to do was suitcase some coke back home. For those who don't know what that means, it's putting something in some part of your body to smuggle it. Coke is cheap in Costa Rica, about 10% of what it costs here, and much stronger. They were planning to bring a smallish amount, a few grams each, then dilute it when they got back and sell it for enough to cover the trip. Well, it comes time for the trip and time to pull the trigger on my revenge. Here we go. Bro and his buddies were leaving on a Saturday morning, and I told Bro that I was going to be out of town, so he would have to arrange his own ride to the airport, but that I would pick him up. He gave me his flight number for his return flight. I had a few sodas in the fridge and a chocolate cake that I had taken a few slices from. In the cupboard was a bag of Doritos and some Oreos. I told him again not to touch my stuff. Bro was out of the house on Friday, so before I left, I took every cleaning product in the place, in a bag, every soap, dish soap, vinegar, cleanser, everything, like all of it. Did I mention that Bro would use my stuff? Well, this included my shampoo and body wash. I use a product called Irish Spring Body Wash, which is a gel that's a bright emerald green. So before I left, I stirred 2 containers of green food coloring into the bottle and put it back in the shower. Did I mention that Bro had a pale complexion? Then I got into the admin of the router and filtered the MAC addresses down to my PlayStation 3, phone, and desktop, effectively locking him out of the internet. Saturday morning, my phone started blowing up. I guess Bro went for a shower before leaving for the airport and got more than he thought when he used my Irish Spring as usual. I wish I could have seen it. He lost it, calling me every name in the book and threatening to beat me up when he returned. But there is more. On Sunday, when I got back home, the apartment was a disaster. Clearly he had people over, and they had drunk all my sodas and eaten my snacks. And that's when I finally replied to him on WhatsApp. He called me almost immediately and started ranting and screaming into the phone, freaking out that he's green and it won't wash away. No beach, no pool. Calling me a jerk and how can I do this to him and so on. I just told him that I had said that if he keeps using my stuff, something would happen that he did not like, and he wouldn't be in Isthmus if he wasn't a thief. Then I told him that he should actually be grateful and thank me. Thank you? Thank you for what? Thank me for not loading the cake with laxatives like I had planned to. On Tuesday, I messaged him. Bro, the police were here looking for you. What? What for? Don't know, bro. They just wanted to know where you were. What did you tell them? That you were in Costa Rica. But that you were flying back in on Sunday afternoon. There were no police. Well, he didn't know that. All he knows is that there was a possibility that they might be waiting for him on arrival, and that if he was discovered smuggling coke, he would be in big trouble. So there went his suitcasing plans, and there went his plans to pay for his trip. On Friday, I told him that I wouldn't be able to pick him up at the airport, but not why. I had given my notice and surrendered the apartment. All week I packed up my stuff, all of it. And I actually owned the furniture in bro's room, but I didn't want it. So I went into his room, dumped his stuff on the floor, and dragged it down to the dumpster. I slashed the mattress and kicked the dresser and bedside table to matchsticks, couch and chairs too. Then I emptied the place, every cup, plate, knife, fork. All of it was either trashed or moved. I did leave one small pot, but I drilled a hole in the bottom just to make my point. I took the shower head, I took the shower curtain, I took the shower curtain rings. I emptied the place. I heard later from Dave, who knew one of the guys that went to Costa Rica with bro, that bro had shown up with very little money, and what little he had was soon gone. He was mooching off the others, and it didn't take long for them to tire of bro. Whatever fury they may have felt by the greeting of bro was soon diffused once they caught wind of his true nature. I don't know how he got back from the airport, but on Sunday he called me freaking out about the apartment. "Where is my bed, man? Where is my furniture?" "What furniture?" "All that stuff was mine, and I didn't want it anymore." "What the heck, man? What did I ever do to you?" "Aside from stealing my stuff, not pulling your weight, and screwing me over for rent and bills, you mean? Now I have to sleep on the floor. Forget you." "No, forget you, bro. Just to let you know, I did you a favor. Now you have less stuff to move. Better get started looking for a new place to live because the management of the building is changing the locks on Wednesday morning." Then I blocked bro. Never heard from him again. But Dave told me he couch surfed for a few weeks, then disappeared. Probably moved out of town, who knows. Good riddance. Hello, this happened today, so it's all fresh in my mind. I'm a 16-year-old guy. I'm pretty normal, I play video games, hang out with friends, have a good job and all that. But the only abnormal thing about me is that I have type 1 diabetes. I have been diagnosed for a bit more than a year and a half. I've kept good control over it and the doctors are always impressed when I have a checkup. Bragging aside, I'm a junior in a pretty small high school in the middle of Kansas. One of the things I do is take insulin 10 to 15 minutes before I eat so it has time to take effect. With the school lunch, there are two options, a chicken salad and a cheeseburger. I decided to go with a cheeseburger. I took my insulin and went up the line. There are two separate tables, each with two white to-go boxes with the food in them. I grabbed a box from the left table and before I took 2 steps, my friend pointed out to me that that's the salad. I set the box back down and went to grab the other box, but the lunch lady shouted at me, "Hey, don't you dare." I looked at her and she looked at me like I just slapped the puppy in the face. I asked what's wrong, and she said that I already grabbed the salad, so I have to take the salad. Note, I didn't even open the box. I explained to her that I am diabetic and already took insulin. She shook her head and said in a sickly sweet tone, "I'm sorry, that's not my problem. Take the salad and go sit down now." I tried once again to explain the situation, but she just pointed at the salad table and told me to take the salad or I wouldn't get anything. I was a little upset at this point, so I took the salad. I went off to my table with my friend and told them the situation. They removed the vending machines in the cafeteria over the summer, so there was no way for me to get the correct amount of carbs without stealing another kid's cheeseburger. One of my friends told me I should go get the principal quickly before the insulin fully set in. I went to the office and told him and the counselor the situation. A little panicked because it had been well over 10 minutes since I took insulin. I am very close with the principal, so he walked me back up to the cafeteria and talked to the lunch lady. He told her, "Give him the cheeseburger. He really needs it." She responded by saying, "But he already took a salad. He can deal with it." The principal just sighed, grabbed the cheeseburger box and shoved it into my hands, telling me to go sit down. I listened to him and walked back to the table. I sat relatively close to the lunch line so my friends and I could barely hear the principal talk to her. How he acted was truly out of line. I thought you understood how to treat his and other diabetic kids' situations with care and understanding. And he went on for another minute, ended up just telling her off and headed back to his office. I ate in peace. I'm glad she got told off, and maybe she will know better next time. Okay, so this is a semi-morbid story, but the Karen in the story is so ridiculous, I can't not share. A few years ago, I lived with my grandparents in a smaller neighborhood with a homeowners association. The association mostly consisted of elderly people who loved to berate others for not having identical lawns, doors, or one too many decorations on their front porch. No one was fond of the association, but above all, everyone despised this one woman, the Karen of the neighborhood. She was a short, stocky lady and just so happened to be a member of the homeowners association. She was always calking around the neighborhood with her tiny over-pampered Yorkie with an eat-crap look on her face. Her favorite pastime was to spy on everyone and report anything that wasn't up to code. I'll give you an example of her skulkery. One of my neighbors, who had just moved in, was walking her dogs in front of her own house, then realized she forgot her doggy bags. After her dog went to the bathroom, it maybe took her 30 seconds to run back into her house and back with her bags. By the time she got back, her dog's mess was gone. Well, the next day I saw Karen tape a letter to my neighbor's front door. Later on, I found out that Karen had been walking close by and saw my neighbor run into the house after her dog pooped. Karen picked up the dog's mess and sent my neighbor a fine. I understand wanting your neighbors to pick up after their dogs, but Karen didn't even send her a warning, or even wait around to see if my neighbor would come back and pick it up. Anyways, this is just an example of how much this lady eavesdrops and knows no boundaries. Now to the story I'm here for. My father passed away when I was 16, very suddenly. My uncle was able to retrieve some of my dad's belongings and asked me if I would like anything of his to keep. My dad had always worn this tungsten chain necklace with a string pendant, so that's really the one thing that I wanted. After the memorial, our whole family, including my uncle, went back with us to the house and we're all inside unwinding after the service. My grandmother and I stayed behind in a driveway discussing my dad and a necklace I had inherited from him. That was when Karen walked up seemingly out of nowhere and had obviously been eavesdropping. "I am so sorry about your father. How are you holding up?" I didn't know what to say and was definitely irritated that she was listening to our private conversation, but nonetheless tried to hold my composure. "Yeah, I'm fine." We stood in silence until Karen stated what really drew her into our circle. "What a beautiful necklace! Is it your father's?" I love my grandmother, but she really has a tendency to overshare. She tells her he passed away with it. It's one of the few things she's got from her dad. Thinking this would make Karen uncomfortable and trying to walk away, I calmed down a bit. But boy, was I wrong. Karen moved towards me with her hand outstretched towards my neck. I back up immediately, and I was sure that my body language and my facial expression was telling her to back off. "I just want to touch it." "What?" "Items like that hold a lot of energy, and I'd like to touch it." Karen advances again, and again I take a couple steps back. Karen seems irritated at this point. She seems irritated, huh? "I'd like to take that necklace off you. It probably burdens you. My son would love that necklace. It's his birthday soon, and that's a man's necklace anyways. It looks so heavy on you." I am shocked. This Karen is not only entitled and doesn't know what boundaries are, but she's insane. I respect people's beliefs in spirits and energy, but to claim something in someone else's custody because you want a piece of that action, like it's a haunted auction item, I just can't fathom this stupidity. I didn't say anything at all. I couldn't bring myself to say anything because I was so shocked at the audacity of this woman. "Hello? Are you going to give it to me? I'll take care of it, I promise." What the heck? You can't have my dad's necklace. What makes you think I just give it to you? And what makes you think you can just walk up to us and butt into our conversation? I can see you're grieving and understand you're a little upset because you're acting so immature here. I really do think it's best if you didn't have that necklace though. I want it and I help this neighborhood look as good as it does. I think you'd be happy to give it up to someone who deserves it. I think that you would want to give something of your father's new life. At this point, my grandmother was able to shake herself out of the shock she was in over this entitled lady and told her that I was still grieving and didn't think it was appropriate to ask for such a thing and that she needed to leave. Why would you let your granddaughter keep this necklace? It holds such negative energy. I can repurpose it, give it a new life. My son will take such good care of it. Like I said, it's his birthday soon, and I haven't been able to find anything for him. But that necklace, it will look so good on him. Karen continues to try and convince us to give her my necklace for like 5 minutes. I'm surprised we lasted even that long. Eventually, when Karen realized that she wasn't getting anywhere with us, she took action. Karen briskly sped up to me and backed me up against our car to grab the necklace. In a fit of panic, I slapped Karen's hand away with a loud smack. Karen stopped in her tracks and ogled at me and looked as though she was having a heart attack. It was so quiet for minutes it seemed. "What?" she shrieked. Smack. I didn't even realize I had been slapped until my face started stinging and my grandmother was blocking me from an irate Karen. "You can't assault an old woman. That's assault. I'm calling the police. You'll get arrested. Your family will be kicked out of this neighborhood. I'll take that damn." Karen stopped mid-sentence as she looked at me with an "oh crap" expression. I felt a warm stream of blood flowing down my face. I then understood why Karen looked so worried. She had left a deep gash in my cheek. I was only 16, so I was still a minor, and I just flat out started bawling. After the emotional day I'd had, and after being harassed by this entitled and insane woman, I just couldn't hold in my emotions any longer. My Uncle Jay is a 6-foot-tall, burly man with tattoos and some anger issues. He was also in law enforcement and a retired veteran, with a mean death stare. He must have seen Karen slap me because he busted out of the front door of our house and stomped within inches of this woman's face. She looked like a hobbit, cowering under his shadow. "Don't you lay a hand on her, you old crone," he told her. Karen, stammering and in a very unconvincing tone, "I'll call the police on you. You're invading my personal space." "Great, I'll call them now." He pulls out his badge that he always carries with him for some reason and shoves it in her face. Karen gets even more pale. My uncle lives in another state, but this still had the desired effect he was going for. My next door neighbor had seen everything through her window and thought we were just having a casual conversation until she saw what had transpired and called the law. She rushed outside and told us she would tell the police what she saw. The police officer that arrived recognized me immediately. As it so happened, I was also in a program called the Police Explorers. This program was for kids to learn about the duties of first responders and possibly make a career for themselves too. This officer helped to run drills and scenarios for the students in the program. He knew I was in the melodramatic type and knew about my dad's passing. So, with an additional testimony from my next door neighbor, the fact that the cop knew me personally and the fact that Karen's ring had dug deep into my cheek, she ended up being a pair of new shiny cuffs. Looking back, I think it's funny that some people can go on in life like that, thinking anything is theirs so long as they want it. So, as background info, my 3 friends and I were on a holiday trip on an island in our home country and just got back today. So this story is really recent. All of us are 16 years old and it's our first time traveling on our own. Now on to the story. This morning, we got up early to film some scenes on a beach for a little movie project for our rather unsuccessful YouTube channel. After we were done doing the ground shots, I was getting my drone, a Mavic 2 Pro, ready and noticed the usual skeptical eyes on me, which I'm used to now. The problem was that due to higher winds, I had to take off behind a little dune and not on the beach itself like I did the days before, to avoid heavy winds during takeoff and landing. This resulted in more people watching me and me having to fly over the little beach to the bridge we wanted to film. So I took off and got away from the beach and crowd with my drone as fast as possible. After that, I immediately noticed someone approaching me from behind. And it really was a typical Karen, just like you imagined her. I thought of Karen more like a myth, but she really was one. The haircut, style, everything matched the Karen. She started yelling at me and demanded to see my permit to fly there in a really aggressive tone. I began to explain that I actually didn't need a permit to fly at this place, which she must have overheard in her yelling. She then screamed, "Oh my gosh, did you just record us? Are you going to upload this to the internet? You're not allowed to fly or film here." Still trying to stay calm, I showed her my, at that moment, empty gallery of the drone, but she just retorted, "You can show me anything you want. Land right now, or I will call the police." The drone was still hovering over the sea, 150 meters away. At this point, I think I should have shown her my drone identification, which is required in the European Union to impress her. Now, my friends joined, one of them, also a drone pilot, explained to her the law, to which she just responded, "No, this is illegal here. I will call the police now." Then a second male, Karen, also joined her and started yelling at us as well. He was not her husband, he was just watching us from 50 meters away. Although we really wanted to get that shot, we also didn't want to get in trouble with the police, so I decided to land to save some battery. Both Karens were now starting to calm down a tiny bit, but still not wanting to see my permits or the laws. So we packed the drone back in its case and thought everything was over. We were not really satisfied because we were actually in the right, but as it turns out, it wasn't over yet. As my friends left to film a few shots on the ground, I stayed at the beach to look after our stuff. I got my laptop out to review some footage and upload a low-quality review to Google Photos, which obviously required Wi-Fi. So I moved near the dunes where Wi-Fi was available, not seeing Karen standing 40 meters away. So I worked on a computer walking and turning around while doing that because I was just bored. After a minute of doing so, Karen approached me again, really furious and screaming, "Now it's over. You filmed me with that thing. Nobody uses a laptop on a beach. I'll call the police now. You stay where you are." Really confused because my laptop only has one camera covered by a sticker, I said, "Am I even allowed to explain myself?" But received, "You can explain to the police whatever you want," in response. So here I was, not knowing what to do, emotional and a bit confused, sitting alone on a beach beside all of our equipment, waiting for the police. 5 minutes later, my friends came back, and after explaining to them what happened, they were just as confused as I was. Another 10 minutes later, one young and one older officer arrived, dealing with a furious lady and not listening to our story, which made it seem like they were supporting the Karen. Because the public really doesn't like drones, I thought the officers would try to give us a fine or something. After she screamed at the officer the same way she screamed at us, really intelligent, huh? The officers came to us and heard our side of the story. They were really nice and completely on our side and even asked us for our YouTube channel. And they subscribed. So they wanted to see the drone in my identification and told us that it actually is legal. But if we fly again, they will have a call in 10 minutes, which will just waste their time. Then they left after this conversation with us. The best part was when the officers on their way out told the Karen to leave the beach because she was causing too much trouble. The most satisfying moment in life is seeing her face at this moment. So Karen left really mad, trying hard to avoid eye contact with us. After we were done filming, we met her again, sitting angrily in front of the entrance to the beach. I wished her a wonderful day, which blew her mind for the second time. So that was my Karen story. Hope you enjoyed it.